Everyone in Brookside knew that the town got weird after dark, but not in a dangerous way like in a big city, but a dangerous way in unpredictable. The community center sat right in the middle of all of it. A warm, bright building surrounded by cold sidewalks, old brick store fronts, and a rotating cast of homeless, drifters, and drug addicts who lingered around the bus stop across the street. Most nights, there was no trouble. But the week before Christmas, things were different. 16-year-old Evan pulled into the parking lot just as the snow had started. He was late to his junior hockey team's Christmas party, a small potluck run in one of the multi-purpose rooms. The community center was packed that night, not just with hockey families, but with random locals just trying to stay warm off the streets, plus people drifting between the public lounge areas. His teammates were buzzing. When he walked in, they were loud, hyper, already hyped up. But something was off that night. 4 teenage boys who weren't on the team were there. They were hanging around the food table. They were high school kids, older and bigger, and they had that cocky stare that said they were there to start shit. They'd wandered in from the public hallways, and no one kicked them out. One of them, shaggy blonde hair, deep circles under his eyes, wouldn't stop staring at Evan, and Evan recognized him. His name was Logan. It was his sister's ex-boyfriend. He was the kind of guy that didn't take breakups well. Logan tilted his head, and he was smirking at Evan like he knew something he didn't. Evan just tried to brush it off, though. The weirdness kind of escalated when one of Evan's teammates, Tyler, a quiet kid who barely said 2 words at practice, suddenly up and vanished. One moment he was sitting on a folding chair eating pizza, then he wasn't. No one saw him leave either. Coaches assumed he'd gone to the washroom, but about 15 minutes had passed, then 30, then an hour, and there was still no Tyler. The kids kind of just shrugged it off, but Evan felt it twisting in his gut, because he'd seen something. Right before Tyler disappeared, Evan noticed a group of older teens talking to him, concerning him almost, like they were offering something or threatening something. Tyler looked nervous. Then he slipped out the back door with them. That was over an hour ago, but no one else had noticed that. A junior league game was happening in the rink next door, and the muffled sound of the crowd made the whole building feel alive. Like the echo of something heavy behind a thin wall, the lights flickered every now and then. Not enough to panic anyone, but enough to make the hallways feel wrong. It was just too dim. Evan decided to go look for Tyler himself. He told his coach he was heading to the vending machines, but he didn't go to the vending. He went to the rink, then to the lobby, and then outside for a second. It was cold enough to burn the inside of his nose. He scanned the parking lot. No sign of Tyler. No sign of those older teens either. But near the far edge of the lot, next to a cluster of cedar trees, Evan saw a shadowy figure, standing still, and just watching the building. He narrowed his eyes, squinting like, was that Logan? Before he could confirm, a loud cheer erupted from the arena, and when Evan looked back, the figure was gone. Inside, the public areas had changed. More people were hanging around, faces he didn't recognize. Not dangerous, but unpredictable. A woman twitching and muttering to herself. A guy in a heavy coat pacing the hallways, sweating despite how cold it was. A group of drifters huddled near the radiator, all watching the kids moving around. It all made Evan feel kind of uneasy. He turned back towards the party room, and he froze. Logan was standing just outside the doorway, leaning against the frame, smiling at him like they were old friends. "Good party," Logan said softly. "Lots of vulnerable kids here." Evan's jaw tightened. "What do you want, Logan?" Logan shrugged. "Just hanging out, man." But his eyes said otherwise. Evan moved past him, rejoining his group. But every time he glanced towards the doorway, Logan was still there, just watching. The coaches finally noticed Tyler's absence. They started looking through the building. Staff joined in. A few parents began whispering, but there was still no sign of him. A strange thought hit Evan. What if he didn't leave the building? What if he's somewheres inside and just can't get out? That's when Evan noticed something else. One of the older kids, the biggest one, wearing a red hoodie, kept rubbing his hands nervously. His knuckles were scraped, right raw, and it was fresh. When he saw Evan staring, he shoved his hands in his pockets. That's when the hairs on the back of Evan's neck stood straight up. Then the lights went out, kind of. Not completely, but they sure were dim and flickering. Then buzzed at half power, like the building was struggling to stay alive almost. People in the lobby muttered. Some swore. A few walked out to their cars. In the gloom, the faces of those sketchy strangers looked even more discomforted and distorted. One by one, like sharks censoring blood in the water, some of them drifted closer to the hall, where all the kids were gathered. The parents didn't seem to notice, though. Logan noticed right away. He smiled even wider. After nearly 3 hours, Tyler suddenly reappeared, walking down the hallway, stiff-like and pale. His hoodie was zipped up to his throat, even though he never wore it zipped like that. His hair looked wet, like he'd been sweating or crying or something. Everyone rushed him. "Where were you?" "Dude, we were looking for you." Tyler kind of forced a smile. "Just hanging around," Tyler said, but he avoided eye contact with everyone, especially Evan, especially the older teens as well. And when Evan said, "Tyler, can I talk to you alone?" Tyler shook his head violently. "No, I don't want to talk about it." And that was that. Coaches stopped worrying, parents shrugged it off, everyone acted like things were fine. But Tyler kept his hands in his pockets the whole time, shoulders trembling. And when Logan passed behind him, Tyler flinched, like he was expected to be hit or something. The night started winding down. Parents gathered their kids. The sketchy strangers drifted back to the lobby or towards the bus stop. The older teens began to leave one by one. Logan was last. He brushed his shoulders to shoulder with Evan on his way out and whispered, "You didn't see anything. You don't ask anything. You mind your own damn business." His breath was warm, too close to him. "People disappeared all the time in this town," he said, and Evan's stomach just turned cold. On the drive home, Evan kept thinking about Tyler, about the look in his eyes, about the way he kept touching his ribs, and when he thought no one noticed. He thought of the scraped knuckles on the kid in the red hoodie. He thought of the figure standing in the parking lot, watching. He thought of Logan's smile. Evan never learned exactly what happened to Tyler during those missing hours. Neither did the coaches or the parents. Tyler never said a word either. He quit the team a week later, transferred schools 2 months after that. And Logan? He kept showing up around town, at the malls, at the gas station, walking past Evan's neighborhood at night, not doing anything, not saying anything, just making sure Evan knew he was there. Because sometimes the scariest thing isn't what happens, it's what you're forced to pretend didn't. so much for watching. I appreciate you spending some of your time with me. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. It truly helps our channel. If you have a scary experience of your own, feel free to send it to mindcodedean@gmail.com. You may just hear it on a future video.